Hi, Year 3, and welcome back to Chapter 3, Part 2. We just ended with Jessica explaining that her mum was a famous actress named Imogen Starlight. My mouth fell open. Imogen Starlight was the most famous British actress ever. Mum was always reading about her in the magazines. I'd never seen any of her films because Mum said they were far too grown up for me. But I'd pored over the photos of her. I'd seen her in chic dresses and high heels, in sweaters and slacks, in sparkly evening dresses, even in her swimming costume. She was beautiful, very slender, with fair hair, a kittenish face, and the most amazing, enormous violet blue eyes. I looked at Jessica doubtfully. Her long dark plait, her pale round face, her little gold glasses. She didn't look remotely like Imogen Starlight. She had to be telling fibs. If so, I understood. I'd sometimes told stories to the other children in my class, though I took pains to make them convincing. Besides, I'd never heard of Imogen Starlight having a daughter. I remembered a husband, maybe several, but Mum would have shown me if there had been a photo of Imogen with her child. Film stars always dress their daughters in frilly mini versions of their own clothes, and sometimes they carried dolls in matching outfits too. Mum always cooed over these pictures. She had knitted matching mother and daughter jumpers for us, and I'd always felt hot and self-conscious when people remarked on them. I take it you've heard of Imogen Starlight, said Jessica. Of course I have, I said. I didn't know what to say next. I couldn't accuse her of downright lying. So, is your name Jessica Starlight then? Don't be silly. I'm Jessica Lippman. My father's Michael Lippman. He's a film producer, but you probably won't have heard of him. And Imogen Starlight isn't my mother's real name. She was born Agnes Potts, but that doesn't sound very glamorous, does it? Said Jessica. But she's Imogen Starlight now, all right, twinkling away, smiling her famous smile, with all those pretty white teeth. Half of them are false, just like her. She spoke with such venom that I changed my mind. She had to be telling the truth after all, unlikely as it seemed. What about your dad then? Is he all right? I love my dad. He's joined up already. He's very brave, I said. Dad was actually quite timid. When we found a rat in the kitchen, he'd squealed and run away, and Mum had to deal with it. Still, I was sure he'd be a wonderful soldier and come home with medals on his chest. I don't see my father much. He lives in Hollywood. I had a stepfather who was okay, but I can't stand my mum's new boyfriend, said Jessica. It was his idea to send me to this awful convent. Those girls aren't very friendly, I said. You're telling me. And Charlie Chaplin is positively foul, said Jessica. We both giggled weakly again. Still, maybe living at the convent is better than living at home with your mum and the stepfather if you don't like them, I suggested. No, because I didn't see them much. I had Nanny. She's looked after me since I was a baby. I love Nanny, said Jessica fiercely. I had a nanny too, Nanny Margot. She was my dad's mum, and she was ever so nice. I did jigsaw puzzles with her, I said, but she's dead now. Nanny isn't my grandma. She's my actual nanny. You know, like a nurse, said Jessica. What, like Mary Poppins? I asked, very impressed. Jessica nodded. Only she doesn't have a parrot head umbrella or a carpet bag, and she doesn't do magic. But she's just lovely, even so. She's not thin like Mary Poppins. She's small and very plump. And she's got arthritis, so her hands don't work very well now, and she can't walk very fast. She's the person I love most in the world, but now my mother's sent her away. She says I don't need a nanny anymore. And it's awful, because Nanny's too old to get another job, and she hasn't got a proper home of her own, and she's had to go and live with her sister, and I miss her so much. Jessica was crying now, tears pooling inside her glasses. She took them off to wipe them. She looked much younger without them. They'd left little pink marks on either side of her nose. Oh, Jessica, I said. Sorry, I don't usually drip on like this, she told me. You drip all you want. I swallowed hard, wondering if I dared say it. Jessica, could we be friends? I would love to be friends, Shirley. You're the only girl I've ever been able to talk to properly, said Jessica, and she took my hand and squeezed it. And we'll stay friends when we get to wherever we're going and play together, or will they keep you shut up in school? I asked. I'll creep out if they do. We'll meet up heaps, I promise. And you can borrow my books if you like, I said. Any of them, especially ballet shoes. You're the nicest girl ever, said Jessica. I swallowed, overcome. Then the door of our carriage stood open and Sister Josephine came lumbering into the corridor. What on earth are you two girls up to? Surely you've calmed down by now, Jessica, she demanded. Shirley was being very comforting. Jessica couldn't quite look at Sister Josephine, and I didn't dare either. We knew that her moustache would set us off laughing all over again. Well, come and sit down properly. We've started a game of famous people. You can both join in, she said. It was a rather lame game, where one girl had to think of a famous person, and the other girls could ask 20 questions to see if they could guess who it was. It was the red-haired girl with freckles. They discovered that she was thinking of an actress who had been in lots of films. What if it's your mum? I whispered in Jessica's ears. Do they know? I'm not telling this lot, she whispered back. Now then, girls, don't whisper secrets in company. It's very rude, said Charlie Chaplin. Join in the game. The famous person wasn't Imogen Starlight. It was Ginger Rogers. Then it was Munchkin's turn. Jessica and I sat silently while the others asked silly questions. Come on, Jessica, make an effort, said Charlie Chaplin. Try to guess the famous person. I don't know any famous persons, said Jessica. I caught her eye and we both started giggling again. You're a pair of silly billies, the nun said disapprovingly. Let's start our own private club, Jessica murmured to me. We'll call ourselves the Silly Billies. Goofy and Munchkin got there before us, I whispered. Girls, what did I just tell you? No whispering at all. So we sat in silence while the others played their silly game. Jessica pulled a little red leather diary out of her blazer pocket. I gazed at it in awe. I hadn't realised how easily you could tell the difference between real leather and plastic. I itched to own a beautiful little diary like that, but of course it would cost a fortune. Jessica unsheathed a tiny pencil from its spine and started busily scribbling something on the page. She held the diary very close to her chest, her head bent. I decided she must be very short-sighted, in spite of her glasses. I couldn't see what she was writing, even though I was right next to her. I wondered if it was about me. What might she put? She suddenly held the open diary in front of me. She hadn't been writing at all. She'd been drawing. She'd done a brilliant little cartoon likeness of Sister Josephine, though she was wearing a bowler hat on top of her wimple and holding a cane, and her black lace-ups were sticking out sideways. Jessica had drawn in every hair of her toothbrush moustache. Sister Josephine was Charlie Chaplin to a T, and I will quickly show you because there is an illustration of this picture. So this is what Jessica drew in her diary. I struggled desperately not to laugh. I bit down on the insides of my cheeks, but I couldn't stop myself shaking. Sister Josephine could feel me vibrating. Jessica Lippman, let me see what you've been writing in that diary, she demanded. I haven't written anything, Sister Josephine, Jessica answered truthfully. Hand it over immediately. But I can't let you look in my diary. It's private, Jessica insisted. I've just seen you show it to the little girl beside you, said the nun. That's different. Shirley's my friend. Ooh, new bugs piled up with Totty Toilet, said Goofy. What a perfect pair, said Munchkin, holding her nose as if we smelled. How pathetic. Gertrude, Monica, stop being so unkind, said Sister Josephine. I won't have silly name-calling, no matter what the circumstances. And Jessica, Give me that diary immediately. But all at once the train tooted, jolted, and then started braking. Oh, crumbs, we're here, Goofy cried. I do believe you're right, said Sister Josephine, leaping up in a panic and brushing meat paste sandwich crumbs off her black habit. Start getting your cases down from the rack and tidy yourselves up a little. I want you to look as smart as possible. Lady Amersham may very well be meeting us. She's kindly allowing us to set up school in her magnificent country house. We're all very privileged. Jessica slid her diary into her pocket, flaring her nostrils with relief. I wonder if my school's going to live in a posh country house too, I asked. Do you think it's big enough for 2 schools? I hope so, said Jessica. I thought how thrilled Mum would be if she knew I was living with a real lady. I didn't like Sister Josephine, and I hated all the other convent girls, but I liked Jessica enormously. Perhaps we could share a desk and sleep next to each other at night. She might even help me with my lessons. She seemed much cleverer than me. We could read all my books together, and we'd wander around arm in arm and whisper secrets to each other. My heart started thumping hard under my itchy Fair Isle jumper. It would be glorious. And that is the end of chapter 3. Now, in your RIC task, you're actually going to be focusing on the first page of chapter 4, so I will just give you a sneak peek at the pictures that accompany that chapter. And they are just here. Oh, whoops. There you go. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that year 3, and I will see you very soon with chapter 4. Bye!